I made a video game about crafting, and yeah, it's kind of trash. How does this fit into a channel mostly about fibre crafts? Well, guess you're just gonna have to watch and find out. I've talked at length in previous videos about how I just love making stuff in whatever form, and I know a lot of you out there feel the same way, so you will completely understand when I say my hobby of game development scratches basically the exact same itch as my hobby of cross-stitch. One of them might involve a bit more problem solving than the other, but at the end of the day I get to look at something fun and say, I made that! Which is always very satisfying, whether the thing you made is a really cool pillow decoration or a 2D platforming game about a bear. There's a concept in the game dev community known as a game jam, which is a timed challenge where we all try and make and release a game based around a particular theme. Sometimes they're in person, I would love to do one of those one day, but more often they're online, so it's just me on my own, often in the dark, sometimes with pizza. It's a bit like 24 hours of cross-stitch if you imagine you had to start and finish the cross-stitch project all in that one weekend, and also you had to design the pattern yourself, and also there was pizza. Which, now I think about it, that kind of sounds like a fun challenge. Makes note. But anyway, game jams are a fantastic way to improve your skills precisely because they're so short. You can't make the next big open world RPG in a 2-week jam, but you can maybe make one level of a simple hidden object game as a way to teach yourself basic 3D modelling. Each jam has different constraints, so you end up practicing lots of different skills in bite-sized projects, and honestly, other hobby communities could learn a lot from this sort of setup. Get to the point, woman! Okay, so I joined the Two Can Do It jam back in December, which is A, a fantastic name for a jam, and B, a bit of a non-standard one because it ran for 3 whole months. It also emphasised making something very small, which was perfect given that I was still really quite ill back when the jam started, so I figured giving myself a lot of time was wise. At first I was thinking of maybe a virtual pet type game where you take care of a yarn ball, and I think that would be cute, but I also think it would be too big a scope for the time and energy I had spare. But the thing about virtual pet games is that they tend to include all kinds of mini games you complete to play with your pet and generally keep it happy and healthy. So I thought, why not scrap the actual pet part and just focus on the mini games themselves? I could build one tiny, simple little mini game, and that would be perfect for the jam theme of focusing on small projects. Then, if I got time, I could add more, but if I didn't, so be it. I brainstormed as many possible craft-themed games as I could, and given how low energy I was feeling, chose the absolute simplest one to start. A classic game of memory, but where the cards have craft supplies on them. Admittedly, not the most thrilling concept in the world for a video game, but remember game jams are about learning new things, and I'd actually never done a 2D game in Godot, which is the game engine I was planning to use. Yay for learning new things! First, I knocked together a framework for adding and loading games, because I guess I really believed I would get multiple done in the time. Next was figuring out how to display the 2D cards and make them clickable. Now, when it came to checking for matches, this was actually the moment when I realised I've learned way more about Godot than I thought. If I'd tried this 6 months ago, my code would have been an absolute mess, but this time round it just worked. I was so chuffed. Of course, the thing with making games is that when you think you've got it almost complete, no, you have not. There's always a ton of polishing and bug fixing to do, much like when you get to the end of a long cross-stitch project and you realise you've still got all of that backstitching to do. Adding attempt counters, fixing the small problem of cards still being clickable while the match text was showing, thus entirely breaking the game. Having something actually happen when all cards are matched. Adding sound effects that are literally just the same ones you use in your videos, but you've not got time to go hunting for new ones. And so on and so forth. I'd pulled together a load of photos of craft supplies that I'd taken over the years, but I thought it would be a lot more fun if I crowdsourced for a bit more variety. So thank you very much to everyone in the Discord who let me use your pictures for my stupid little project. This saved me so much time, you have no idea. Of course, using other people's images meant I now also did need a credits page, so you see how every task complete just kind of makes for more tasks. That's game dev for you. You'll notice that at first my card template included space for a title and description, but I realised this just took up a ton of space and it wasn't really needed, so I got rid. That data is still there though, and my plan is to eventually add the ability to inspect cards you've matched and read more about them. I make absolutely no promises about when that might get added. With the addition of some game essentials like a loading screen and a pause menu so you can actually escape, I had a game that was playable from start to finish. An absolutely terrible game that could be completed in all of about 30 seconds, but a game nonetheless. And one thing game jams really teach you is having something complete is the main thing. Polish can wait, adding more content can definitely wait, but building this skill of knowing how much you can get done in a given timescale and then actually doing it, that is the point. So I submitted my absolute atrocity to the jam, and I even proudly shared it on the jam Discord as well, because I think it's important to lead by example and show beginners that it is really, truly okay to do something this small and crap. With that done, I could breathe a sigh of relief. Jam complete, right? And anything else was just a bonus. Naturally, I spent the next hour doing a load of polish that immediately made it 10 times better, but I'm pretty sure anyone who was going to play it did so in the first 5 minutes, so this was totally pointless and I don't know what the sudden rush was. Anyway, one game down, but that doesn't make for much of a minigame collection as such. So with another month remaining until the end of the jam, I really hoped I might get a chance to add a second game at some point. That second game would become Moth Attack. Weirdly, I rarely make games where stuff actually moves around on its own, so I had to learn quite a bit for this one. Imagine this is yarn, and these are moths. My first problem was that the moths just all flew to the same spot, so I tried to get them to calculate their nearest yarn ball, but they would often pick the wrong one and it took me ages to work out why. If their target ball was destroyed, they'd still be trying to attack it and they'd just double back randomly and fly around in confusion. But eventually I figured that out and I slapped some basic visuals that are actually stolen from a previous abandoned game jam project. So lesson there, even failed projects can come in clutch one day. I added a visual indicator of yarn damage, some simple sound effects, and I had this concept of a score, although I hadn't really given it any real thought, so it kind of made no sense. Still, technically a complete minigame, and as we've said, that is what counts. My plan was of course to get this second game added before the jam deadline, but being me, I got distracted by something else entirely and didn't end up adding it until over a week after the jam had ended. Luckily, the host is very chill and the jam had basically no rules, so nobody cares. So that brings us up to Monday, March the 25th. Gondorian New Year for the Lord of the Rings nerds out there. As I record this, my game is published and playable for free on itch.io. I will of course add a link in the description. It's also going to be part of a paid bundle with all of the other submissions to the jam. However, due to a hilarious mix-up that is only mostly my own fault, my game's accidentally been added into the tier where you need to pay $10 minimum to access it, which I really can't imagine anyone is going to do. Still, if you do fancy getting access to all of these other cool entries, the bundle will be going live on, I believe, Friday 29th, and I'll update with a link to that too once it does. And of course, hopefully, I will get chance this week to come back and add a little bit more polish to one or both of these games, maybe make them into actual games. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. If not, I've got the framework built out now. I can easily add new mini-games as and when I want to do something small and self-contained, just as a distraction from my main game dev project, because yes, startitis is as much of a thing in game dev as it is in fibercrafts. So what has this long ramble actually had to do with fibercrafts? Well, not a whole lot beyond the actual theme of the minigames. But I chat to a lot of people in the comments of my videos and in the Discord who are interested in trying new hobbies. For some of you that's a new traditional craft, some of you are actually interested in giving game dev a try yourselves. And I don't want to sound harsh here, but some of you really don't seem to believe that you can actually do these new hobbies. Like, you lack some kind of inherent skill, or you're just not smart enough for things. And don't get me wrong, I completely get that. I was definitely not this confident in myself 10 years ago, that is for sure. But to those people, I would say, look at this absolutely terrible game I have made. Look at how it just uses this basic, mostly grey theme because I didn't have the time and energy to make it better. Look how I couldn't even think of a proper name. Look at the minigames being one and done and not even having more levels or going much of anywhere at all. And yet, look how proud I am. Look at how enthusiastic the jam host is. Shout out to Beth, by the way, for organising this thing and keeping it going for 3 whole months. You were great, and I'm just really sad I was too ill to make more stuff. Look at how I made a new friend through this jam who also happened to be interested in learning crochet and has now made his first proper project with me cheerleading all the way. You don't have to be good at things to get stuck in and enjoy them. You don't have to make the best example of a thing for other people to genuinely appreciate it. And you never know who you're going to meet when you expand your horizons. Every time you learn to do something new, you are proving to yourself that yes, two can do it. I guess what I'm really trying to say with this video is just embrace the fun of making stuff, even if what you make is terrible. The world would be a happier place if more people learned to let go of self-imposed standards on their creativity and just make stuff. And if what you make is also really trash video games, hey, let me know and maybe we'll end up teaming up for a jam one day. Thank you as always to my Ko-fi supporters for making this video possible, and special shout out to my Stitch squad. Mary Ann Johnson, Sunny, Candy Riley Pettinger, Laura Salerts, Rosalie, Enlightened Flamingo, Cross Stitch the Globe, I'd Rather Be Stitching, Angela Sue Harrison, and Emily Hobbs. I'll be back soon with some more crafty nonsense, and maybe an invite to the first ever cross stitch jam. So in the meantime, have a brilliant rest of your day, and keep making cool stuff.